So turn up the video speed. Over the years, people have asked, why don't you buy a brand new vehicle? You got the money. Why don't you just get a new vehicle? Well, I'm going to give you the mathematical equation I've used over the years to kind of look at it and say, is it worth it or not? Okay, so my current vehicle gets how much to the gallon? Okay, how many miles is that? Let's say the party van, 13 to 15 to the gallon. So let's say 14. A brand new vehicle would cost me how much for that nice Sprinter van? Let's say 50 grand. How many gallons of gas can I buy for 50 grand? Now, considering how much you drive, if you drive a lot, it might make sense to get the new vehicle because you get better mileage. But I'm not a commuter. I don't do commuting. My idea of commuting is I drive to the trucking company. I hop in my truck and maybe I'm out for anywhere from a week, more like 2 weeks to a month or even longer because I don't mind being out for long times. So my vehicle is just going to sit there and rot away at the yard. So an older vehicle makes perfect sense for me. And the same thing, if you live in a small town or a town where you can just ride bike through, you might not even need a vehicle. You might just buy a vehicle like a pickup truck so you can go out and do pickup fun things with your truck, pull a boat or something. But you don't need a brand new vehicle to do that. So when you think about it from the perspective of I could drive this many miles, so, let's say $4 a gallon, and then divided, get 50,000 divided by 4. How many gallons is that? And then 50, let's say 14 miles to the gallon times that many gallons. We're talking like 100 years of my current level to 200 years of driving. Let's say from here I go down to the wasteland and back. So 600 miles there, 600 miles back, and then let's just go with a simple number of 2,000 miles per year. How many years would it take me to actually, pay back that cost of that vehicle? And the answer is I'll be long since gone into the grave and dust, before that cost ever pays back itself. Now, I know some of you are saying, well, older vehicles, they're not as reliable. Somewhat true. Sometimes that's true. They're only as reliable as you take care of them, and like, I don't know how to put this to you, but sometimes it's kind of like if you were working a trucking company, you don't wait for things to fail. Like Henry Time Logistics would say, you make your truck load ready. Well, that's the same thing you would do. If you're going to give your child, your daughter, your son can figure it out. Let's just be real. That's how people be. But if your daughter's going to give her a car, an older car, you go through and you're like, okay, I'm replacing the alternator, you're getting a new battery, you're going to redo the belts, new plugs, new wires, new basic everything that you can do. And you can turn a wrench on that. So if something goes haywire, you can fix most of it. Now, admittedly, I don't know how to rebuild a motor, but there's lots of people who do. And there's lots of people that grew up with this technology. They're like, yeah, back in high school, I had a something with this transmission or this motor. So I know there's no shortage of people that can rebuild this stuff. I could even improve the technology I have. So granted, like for instance, the battle van out back there gets anywhere from 6 to 8 miles to the gallon. Yeah, it's a huge GMC value van. Big surprise. It's not meant to win the race. It's meant to tow the racer. And I could drive that. And I just got to thinking about it just as kind of another equation. You're like, well, I've thought about parking the battle van as like a tiny home on wheels over on the West Coast, like an RV. And the reason I went with that giant metal behemoth was I really don't like the way RVs are built. They leak, they have problems. They're built of wood. They have trailer ants. What I got's built of metal. Metal. It's fun, tough. And I got a wood stove and a shower stall in there. I'm thinking about building a survival pod in there as well. Like, oh, it's cold outside. Doesn't matter. Survival pod. Got more than enough room for a huge, ridiculously huge solar system on top. I mean, I don't even know how many watts. I could power a whole house with the amount of solar space I got on top of there. But yeah, I could see myself doing that. I don't need a schoolie. I don't. A schoolie would be nice. But I could see myself taking my battle van down to the wasteland and back. I've always kind of wanted to, I got a wood stove in there. I've always kind of wanted to burn cow turds. I don't know if you've ever been out there, where they talk about, buffalo chips. Well, cow turds, same thing. And I call them certified bovine biocoal. They take grass and compress it into something that burns hot and slow in my wood stove. I would love to do that. I'd love to be. It's like such a middle finger to the system. It really is. It's like, oh, the cost of living and the life. It's like cost of living, my ass. Like when you're kind of a wastelander. And here's the other thing. Even with the battle van, so the party van gets about 13 to 14, let's say 12 on a bad day, maybe 11, going up a bad hill. Um, Still, I mean, we're talking out there 7 miles from town, 7 miles, so 20 miles twice a month. Even the battle van's livable, doable if I go into town twice a month. I could totally see myself doing that. And you got some investments paying you some money back and you're retired. You got your social security coming in. Be fucking tits, man. I don't know. Lots to think about. But yeah, like I said, that's the equation I use for the whole reason I don't buy new vehicles. And yeah, when I get old, sure, I'll probably buy myself a little car, something front wheel drive. I don't know what a Prius is. Is it a front wheel drive or a back wheel drive? Tow it behind the battle van. And then I'll be, I could actually put my motorcycle on there too. But yeah, I think it'd be fucking tits. It'd be great. Anyhow, this is Freedomville. I've said more than enough. Turn up the video speed. Feel free to share it, like, and subscribe.